What's up, Wall fans? What's up, Common Sensors? And of course, what's up, social media world? It is Thursday night. That means SHIT. So happy it's Thursday because it is Go Tell It to the Wall podcast night. That's right, we're going live with the entirety of episode 54 tonight. If I cannot mix up my words, we'll see how many more times that happens over the next hour or so. So join in, don't go anywhere, we're going to have some fun. I got light stories tonight, just good old-fashioned, fun, pop culture stuff. Maybe a teeny tiny little rant in there. We'll see how it goes. But stick around. We got all kinds of fun stuff for you on this fine Thursday evening. You know, turn away from the NFL draft, turn away from the NBA playoffs, I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the sports world tonight. I bring up sports because the other stuff you can just watch on Hulu and like DVR, and like you don't need to worry about watching sitcoms like live. I get it. But the sports stuff, maybe you do. Just, you know, dual screen. Have them both up. It works. Let's get into it. And, of course, don't forget episode 54 of Go Tell It to the Wall podcast, going live, going to be published tomorrow, but we are live tonight for the entirety of episode 54. Wall fans, welcome to another very exciting edition of Go Tell It to the Wall podcast. I am your host, the one and only Sean O'Rourke, and we're coming at you with episode 54 tonight. That's right, episode 54. Just kind of putting them in the bag here, trugging along on the episodes, and eventually I'm going to stop keeping track of these things and just start posting them without numbers. But the numbers are fun, so we keep doing it, you know? We just kind of keep doing it because the numbers are fun. And it helps me keep track of where the heck we are, even though we have more than 54 episodes because of all the specials and that kind of stuff. But nonetheless, this is episode 54, and I got a lot of fun for you tonight, so don't go anywhere. And if you're only listening to audio, you can always hit pause. That's the amazing invention of the pause button. Let's get into it. That's right, Wall fans and Common Sensors. As always, we have our social plugs. This is how you can keep in touch with us between shows. Get your dose of common sense throughout the week, and of course, access all of our other content that goes out into the world. First place would be Facebook for now, and that would be facebook.com/GoTellItToTheWall. We are working on porting everything away from Facebook. Like the stuff, not porting it away, but everything's going to stay up there, but we're going to stop updating the Facebook page eventually here. But in the meantime, like that page, then you'll get updated when we kind of move everything over to different places to get posted regularly. On top of Facebook, you can follow us on Twitter, @TellTheWallPod or @MagicMuppet. Just follow both of them. You know you follow a bunch of dumb celebrities on Twitter and whatever else. Follow the show and follow my own personal Twitter, which is MagicMuppet. So @TellTheWallPod and, of course, @MagicMuppet. Follow both of those. Also, YouTube. You can find us on YouTube. All kinds of awesome stuff. In fact, we just had a new video go up today. New Go Tell to the Brewery beer review of, what did we do? Pumpkin Drublick Hoppy IPA from Stone. Personal favorite of the show. Personal favorite of mine would be Stone Brewing. So check out YouTube. Just search Go Tell It to the Wall. And subscribe. For God's sake, subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe. Share it. Because there's a lot of great stuff on there. And we need to get it more and more out into the world. And like I've said before, people don't subscribe. They watch the videos, and they don't actually subscribe. But the thing is, monetization and actually getting revenue from the channel, we need to have those subscribers. So please, share with your friends, subscribe. Tell your parents, tell whoever. Have your kids subscribe. Maybe don't have your kids. Just depends what they're going to be watching on our YouTube channel. They don't need the beer reviews, that's for sure. Of course, and most importantly, and encompassing of all of those things, is our website, SeanO'RourkeLive.com. Head on over there to SeanO'RourkeLive.com, and you'll be able to access all of those other platforms that I just mentioned. Yeah, we got links to all those things. And in addition to those links, you can access Patreon, some exclusive videos that only live on the website, and some exclusive photos that only live on the website. And on that same note, if you're not a patron already through Patreon, keep in mind that patrons, only if you're an actual patron, get exclusive photos with every episode that goes up on Patreon. So if you're interested in kind of getting exclusive behind-the-scenes photos from each podcast episode, then Patreon would be the place to go, and throw us a couple dollars, help out the show financially. And I'm going to mention it again, because you can find the show everywhere. Subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, Podomatic. Big shout out to Podomatic and Sloan over there, who always helps me when I'm having problems. He's fantastic with helping out. So big shout out to them. They're our podcast host. But really, wherever you get your podcasts, you should be able to find us, and that includes Spotify. Spotify's been really pushing into the podcast genre here for the past, really, they've been doing it for the past 2 years, but it's really only the past few months that they're trying to expand beyond the big boys, the Mark Marons and the Kevin Smiths and stuff like that. So we are on Spotify, luckily. I don't know how the heck we got up there. Didn't even submit, but Spotify picked us up somehow, and we're on there. So go in there and add it to your lists, or all the things that you do with Spotify. There's all you gotta do is click. Just search Go Tell It to the Wall, click. You're going to see my lovely bearded face right there, and you'll know that you're in the right place. So check out Spotify, or wherever the hell else you listen to your podcasts, because it's pretty much everywhere, including YouTube. The podcast videos are also up on YouTube. All right, now that we're done with a little housekeeping there, let's get into the beer this week. Ooh. I'm semi-excited about this one. I'm excited because I'm happy that we're able to get it onto the show kind of before the big changeover, but I'm also a little disappointed because of what's been happening. And if you're kind of up on craft beer news, you're already aware of this one. But this week we have a nice little brew called Remix IPA, and it is from Green Flash Brewing. Green Flash Brewing. Now, I mentioned that because Green Flash Brewing ran into some financial problems recently, and actually were just sold off to an outside investor. So it's no longer independently owned, by the founders and everything else. It's going to be, they're keeping the brand name around, but we don't know if that's going to change, or, they're going to have a different brewmaster or whatever else it is. So essentially, you're still going to see Green Flash in the market, but we don't know how the beer, is it going to remain the same, or are they going to stay true to we don't know that. So that being the case, I was happy to get some of this Green Flash Remix IPA on the show, and actually shot a Go Tell It to the Brewery beer review this week with this particular brew. So that's going to be going up on the YouTube channel as well. Give you a little more kind of info on Green Flash and all that good stuff. I don't want to get too much into it on the individual episode. You got to go to the YouTube channel. Check that out. You get more information on Green Flash. But we do have it this week, and it's a tasty beer. I'm enjoying it. If you're an IPA fan, it's a little lighter IPA. Definitely hits that West Coast kind of IPA style. And that's the other interesting thing about Green Flash, is they are actually the one brewery in the entire world that owns the trademark on West Coast IPA, in addition to some other interesting stuff. But again, head on over to the YouTube channel, check that out. But grab yourself a little Remix IPA from Green Flash Brewing. It's a tasty one. Again, if you're an IPA fan. If you're not an IPA fan, you probably don't like most of the beers we have on the podcast, because I'm a hoppy guy. I like IPAs. I like pale ales. I can't do a lot of those freaking lagers. It just doesn't taste that great to me. So because of that, we have a lot of IPAs and pale ales and hoppy stuff on the show and in the beer reviews. I try to get some other stuff in the beer reviews. In fact, I just got my quarterly beer shipment just came in yesterday. So we're gonna have some super rare, unique, harder to find. That would be the right term for it. Harder to find beers that you're really only going to be able to find if you're in those local areas. So we'll be getting into those over the next few weeks, and beer reviews going up and all that good stuff. So beer drinkers, rejoice. We got lots of good stuff coming up. All right, there is an elephant in the room, and I just wanted to address it at the opening. Get it out of the way right now, because I know I actually already got some questions on it, and they're like, "You're gonna talk about it?" And I know what's going on in pop culture right now, in politics, and how they're intersecting. And I know Kanye is losing his mind, Kanye West, like he does every couple of years, loses his mind. But here's the thing. We have kind of a, not hard and fast rule, but a rule at Go Tell It to the Wall podcast. We don't talk about the Kardashians. We just don't. I don't talk about Kardashian stories, and trust me, some of them are ridiculous. I'll tease this one. If you're into the Kardashians, or you're into the train wreck that is the Kardashians, either way, just go ahead and look at the stories about one of the younger Jenner kids, and how a lot of plastic surgeons around the LA area are getting requests for a certain part of the, well, male and female, but it's females that are requesting this plastic surgery for a certain part of their anatomy to look like a certain one. But nonetheless, that is the extent of time I will spend on that, and I'm only putting that out there because I think it was funny. We just never talked about it on the show, and if you're interested, it's ridiculous and hilarious at the same time. But we don't talk Kardashians, and Kanye West, to me, he's basically a glorified Kardashian. I really don't care for his music. I don't care for his attitude. I don't care for really anything he does. I respect that he's put out some good music and he's a good producer or whatever. Giving little finger quotes to the video crowd there. But personally, I just don't care. You can like him. I don't care. Give me the hate mail. Kanye's a genius and all. Whatever. I don't care. I don't care. And because he's a Kardashian, we're not going to talk about his ridiculousness. And we're also not going to throw fuel on the fire. Because for those of you out there that have been following the story, or have you heard about it or whatever else, this is exactly what Kanye wants. I talk about this on the podcast. There's no such thing as bad publicity. And this is what's happening. He's working on an album, and he decided to go crazy for a little while again because he wasn't popping up in the media that much. And people are caring much and much less about his wife getting naked on Instagram. Like, they just don't care anymore. Like, no, they're like, cool, So he needed to do something. And what he's doing right now is essentially doing that to stoke the fire and make sure he gets his name in the media. So we're not even going to get into details on that. The dude is completely nuts. And personally, I'd be happy if I never had to see or hear from him ever again. If you like him, good on you. Deal with it. All right, I'm going to warn everyone too. This could possibly be a shorter episode. Could be a shorter episode only because I was short on content and it's been a little crazy here. I'm trying to get the website updated. I'm trying to get the YouTube channel updated. There's too much stuff going on, and YouTube added some new features, and I'm going through all the videos, and it's a whole thing. So if we don't go the full hour tonight, I apologize, but I think everyone's going to be okay with that. All right, let's get into some social. A little bit of social media, not social studies. That's sad. That's the first word I could get. Social media. What else has social studies? Yeah. Wow. You can tell the minimal prep I put into these shows. I'm just kidding. It depends on the show. All right, but social media world, things going on the social platforms right now. It's basically stuff that I find amusing or controversial or whatever that might be, or uplifting. Really just stuff in social media. First one that I want to bring up, trending on Twitter right now, is hashtag when I was single. Hashtag when I was single. This one's popping around Twitter right now. And I thought this was funny. Some of these, if you go through searching, I always say search the hashtag. Then sometimes I'm like, maybe don't search that one. This one's search, but just be aware that you're going to get some maybe, people that are like, I'm still single, whatever else. But I'm going to give you a couple good ones. Hashtag when I was single, we didn't consider laundry detergent an edible food source. Hashtag when I was single. If you're not familiar with that story, go back into the podcast episodes where we talked about that. That's another point that I was going to bring up in the opening. I was saying share the YouTube channel, subscribe, tell your friends, whatever else. I got to be honest, because it happened to me at least 5 times in the past week. At least 5 times where I'm talking to someone and something comes up in conversation. They're like, oh, I didn't know that. Or, oh, that's really cool. That's really interesting. Whatever it is. And at least 5 times this past week. And this has happened numerous times. It happens on a weekly basis, but it's happened so much this past week that I wanted to bring it up again. And all those things that I was talking about, those 5+ times, were literally stuff that we've talked about on the podcast. And I run into people, and they're like, oh, that's cool, that's interesting. Yeah, if you want to be up on that kind of stuff, listen to the podcast. Because here's the thing. I know there's a lot of podcasts out there. There's a lot of Mark Maron. I'm not even going to try and compare myself to the Mark Marons, the Kevin Smiths, the Adam Carollas of the world. I'm just not going to do it. Bill Burr. I'm not going to do it. However, this is an enjoyable podcast for people that enjoy listening to podcasts. So share it. Because I'll tell you, I'm so tired of, I don't want to say I'm tired of it. It's not that big a deal. But I'm just like, what? I'm just spinning wheels over here. And people are like, and I get the other thing. I'll get a phone call or a text. And did you hear about it? I'm like, yeah, I talked about it 2 weeks ago. Obviously these are friends and acquaintances that aren't listening to the entirety of the podcast. But get it out there. For God's sake. Get it out there. When I was single, I was listening to lots of podcasts. Hashtag when I was single. No, I'm just kidding. I wasn't listening. Podcasting wasn't huge when I was single. I've been non-single for quite a while now. But one of the other hashtag when I was single that I wanted to talk about, because speaking of not being single anymore, I had a 6-pack now. Now I drink a 6-pack. Hashtag when I was single. And I can relate to this one. I can relate to this one in certain ways because when I was single and had a 6-pack, I still drank beer. The difference was I wasn't married and didn't have a child, and I had a lot of time to, work out. These were the days when I was at the gym once or twice a day and on my bike, once a day, maybe in the pool, depending on what was going on. So I can relate to that one. But check it out. Hashtag when I was single. There's some funny ones in there. Definitely just kind of weed through like the non-funny ones where people are talking about being harassed, which is important too. But like if you're going in there looking for comedy, just tread lightly. And this one you can pretty much just go into it. This next hashtag, and that would be hashtag how my body tells me I'm old. How my body tells me I'm old. And there are two that I absolutely loved here that I found on Twitter. First one would be, I need to pee every 30 minutes. Hashtag how my body tells me I'm old. I feel ya. I feel ya. I always joke with my friends, the Irish bladder. I start drinking beer when I'm out with my friends, and it's like, beer, bathroom, beer, bathroom, beer, bathroom. When I was in my 20s, not so much. Maybe a little bit. Not near as much, so I can relate. And this one I can relate to entirely too much. And if you're over the age of like 30, you can relate to this one. And that would be, every morning I have to Google the new pain I'm feeling. Hashtag how my body tells me I'm old. And that's just part of getting old is you're constantly, I'll tell you, I get up every morning and there's some new pain. And my wife's like, what'd you do? I'm like, well, I don't know. I have no idea. My back hurts. My knee hurts. Like, and I got a bum knee, but like, there's always something every morning I wake up. Like, oh, this is sore. And I don't even Google it anymore. I'm just like, well, I'm old. Getting old. Stuff hurts. But enjoy that one. There's some gold within that hashtag. How my body tells me I'm old. Yeah. See, that has actually happened to me many times. I have actually hurt my neck from sleeping, and in fact. Speaking of getting old, I use not like a super fancy pillow, but like a memory foam pillow. And when I destroyed my neck years ago, like 10 years ago, swimming in the ocean, training for a triathlon, and just got destroyed and completely strained my trapezius. I think I had a concussion too. And ever since then, I've been using these memory foam pillows. And it's funny because sometimes we'll go on a road trip, or obviously if we go out of town, like on a plane, I can't do it. But if we go on a road trip, it's only about half the time I remember to bring my memory foam pillow. So never fail. If I forget my memory foam pillow, like, forget about it. I'm coming back from whatever weekend that is with a completely sore neck. And then on top of that, this is where old age comes in. So when I talked about my trip to Arizona, where I was out seeing Last Call for the first time in like 10 years or whatever, and I remembered my memory foam pillow that time. Stayed at an Airbnb in Gilbert, Arizona. And of course, driving back to Los Angeles from the Arizona area, and probably about like an hour out of Los Angeles, and I turned to my wife in the car and I go, yeah, my pillow is in Arizona. So I left that memory foam pillow in Arizona. Luckily, I had a backup here at home, so I was able to sleep that night. But if you're someone that has those neck problems, and you do wake up with a sore neck, I would highly recommend the memory foam pillow. It's part of getting old. All right, moving on. I got another one. This one I like, and I'm only gonna give you. I'm not even gonna give you some quotes on here, but just I scrolled through here, and this one got me, and it made me think, and to something I think almost on a daily basis, and that would be hashtag because of you I, and so there's lots of stuff. In fact, one hashtag because of you I have faith in humanity. Thank you. And it doesn't even say who they're talking about. And there's the funny ones. Because of you, I am playing this tag game instead of working. Yeah, this is why whenever I'm talking to people, I'm like, we don't post videos to the YouTube channel like after 5 o'clock. And it's done on purpose. Because most people are looking at social platforms while they are at work, and after 5 o'clock they're usually out having a drink, hopefully actually interacting face-to-face with someone. Maybe scroll through the socials a little later, but, that's the prime time as people are looking at it at work. But this is the one that got me, just hit me in the heartstrings, and that was hashtag because of you, I have a reason to move forward in life, and that included a photo of what looks to be about a 1-year-old. And it's one of these Snapchat things. I don't like those filters. There's cats around it. But that got me thinking. And that is something I can absolutely relate to, having a daughter who's now 17 months old, and every day I talk on this podcast openly about mental illness and my struggle with mental illness and how we are big proponents of mental health awareness. And a lot of times I get up in the morning and, yeah, I feel old, but I also feel like I can't take on the day. And to be honest with all of you, today was one of those days. I walked around in a fog all day today, didn't work on the show much, and really, there's one particular story that got me into the studio tonight because I wanted to talk about it tonight. But it's rough at times. When you deal with mental illness, mental health issues of any kind, it's really rough. And one of the things that keeps me moving forward is absolutely my daughter. Even when I'm having the roughest time possible, and just walking around in a haze, can't get my head straight, and all I'm thinking, I can put that aside for my daughter. I look at her, she gives me a smile, and it's okay. And so I can absolutely relate to that. Hashtag because of you, I have a reason to move forward in life. I mean, I try to move forward no matter what. We should always be moving forward. Highly underrated Disney film called Meet the Robinsons. Always move forward. Haha. A little Disney reference there. People are going to go check out the Netflix and watch Meet the Robinsons. Highly underrated film. But I love it. Hashtag because of you, I. So enjoy that one. Maybe share some of your stories. My daughter Zofia is incredibly important, and one of the reasons that I continue to do things like this to build upon what I've been trying to build, and and not only here from a media standpoint, but also my family and our family and friends and everything else. And a lot of that is just building a better life for my wife and my daughter. And not that I got a pretty good life now, which is always tough with the mental health problems because, there was a time when I was struggling in my 20s and I had these issues and I could constantly blame it on something else, and it's hard to do that now. Outside factors, outside of just head don't work the way most people's heads work, or the way, for lack of a better word, normal people's heads work. Really, it just means people that aren't dealing with any kind of mental health issues. And one that I found, which I think just is an ongoing thing. This isn't even trending now, but I'd never seen this one before, and I really want to help this one become big and blow up and become kind of more of a thing so that people can share their particular stories and everything else. And that would be hashtag inspiring greatness. And one of the posts that I saw on Twitter was somebody receiving his bachelor degree, and he actually brought his great-grandmother up on stage as he accepted his bachelor's degree, so that he could honor her and what he did or what she did to help raise him and everything else. So again, that's hashtag inspiring greatness. Check that one out. I'm hoping that I can add something to this. Not that I'm inspiring a lot of greatness, but I know people out in the world that are inspiring greatness and really could use some of that recognition. Absolutely. All right. Moving on. Don't forget, grab yourself a Green Flash Remix IPA. Oh man, my software is going super wonky right now. We're just going to deal with that. Hopefully that stays fine. Video feed's still going fine. I don't know what's happening over there. Alright, let's move on to some TV, film, and books. I don't have a lot here. This week, but I do have two really important ones. Both in the film realm. First one would be a little article that came out beginning of this week. And it's actually from an interview that was done in 2001, but the video and audio from this interview just recently popped up. So everyone kind of took it and ran with it. And it's something that we really all knew, that I've known for a very, very long time. And that would be Mr. Francis Ford Coppola admitting that he made Godfather 3 simply for the money. Simply for the money. And if you're familiar with the Godfather franchise, the trilogy, you understand. You're like, oh yeah, no. We've known that for a long, long time, that he just kind of mailed that one in. But now we know that Coppola has completely admitted to it, that he was doing it for the money. He did say that his family was broke. Who knows how broke they really were at the time. But then on top of that, he was also kind of trying to put away money for his family, so that his daughter could go on and direct awesome independent films, apparently. Yeah, I don't know. If you're not familiar with Sofia Coppola, that is Francis Ford Coppola's daughter, and she's also a fantastic director. If you're not familiar with her work, go check it out. It's amazing because if you're familiar with the franchise, you know how terrible Godfather 3 is, and it's fantastic that we finally have official confirmation that, yeah, he phoned that one in just to get a paycheck, and we don't have to, anyone out there that was pretending that Godfather 3 was a good film, you can stop now because we have it confirmed. It's not a good film. It's just not a good film. Yeah. But official confirmation is always nice. We were right. All of my film school friends are like, dude, we've known that for a very long time. And it's like, yeah, but now he's admitting it. Like, straight from the horse's mouth, for lack of a better word. All right, one thing I just want to touch on real quick. Avengers Infinity War comes out tonight. That's like the new thing now. Movies don't come into theaters on Friday anymore. They come in Thursday evening. You used to have to go to like a midnight showing, and now it's like, we'll do a 7 o'clock showing on Thursday. So it's essentially out tonight, but like wide release tomorrow, Friday, April 27th. So check it out. But I do want to bring up a couple things. The producers and the filmmakers behind Avengers Infinity War went to extreme lengths, including sending scripts to actors from the film that had scenes that actually didn't exist. They were just decoy scenes. Extreme measures. And in fact, didn't screen, I think I mentioned this on a previous episode, didn't screen the entirety of the film until the premiere that happened this week or last week, whenever it was. So really, not a lot of people have even seen the damn thing. What's going to happen now is everyone's seeing it tonight, they're going to see it tomorrow, and as people do, they're going to get on social media and they're going to talk about it. Well, I'm warning all of you out there right now, don't ruin the film for others. Don't do it. Don't ruin the film for others. I can't, to me, spoilers, people that spoil films and shows and all that other stuff are the scum of the earth. Scum of the earth. Because there's no reason for you to do that. You don't need to spoil it. And there's great things about the world becoming smaller that we can communicate and everything else, but it's also, when you're spouting your dumb review of Avengers Infinity War and giving away spoilers, someone's just going to scroll along it accidentally and have the entire film spoiled. So don't do it. Have respect for the film. Have respect for the filmmakers and the actors and everyone that put so much time and energy into this film. And most importantly, have respect for your fellow patrons of the arts, fellow film viewers, and don't spoil it. Just don't. I swear. Here's the thing. If I get this spoiled by some friend or someone I follow in my news feed, I am going to spend the next 2 years spoiling everything I can possibly find for that person. So I'm warning you out there, if I see it, I'm going to spoil every goddamn thing that you enjoy for the next 2 years. Minimum. And trust me, I've had stuff spoiled. Oh, God, I can't stand it. How I Met Your Mother series finale. Spoiled. Spent like 7-8 years watching that. Spoiled. Thanks. Spoilers. Ugh. No pity. We've actually done it once on the podcast. I still stand by that. It's like, that's kind of a half spoil. Because I didn't even watch the show and I knew it happened and I got my Entertainment Weekly that week and I was like, oh, this is from the Walking Dead. Oh, that happened just from looking at the cover of my Entertainment Weekly. So, but don't spoil Avengers. Just don't spoil it. Alright, I have one thing for music. And I bring this up not because I was a big fan of his, but we lost this last Friday, this past Friday, April 20th, we lost a DJ named Avicii. He was a Swedish DJ. He was really big in the EDM scene. If you're not familiar with EDM, that's electronic dance music. That's kind of, whenever you see like a rave scene in the movies, because you don't have to be listening to EDM at a rave, but whenever you see a rave scene, and like that's EDM. Like they're just like, hey, it's got to be this EDM, electronic dance music. But he's real popular. Had been around for quite a while. He was 28, but had been around for quite a while. And we're getting news now that he apparently committed suicide. Most likely that he committed suicide at 28 years old. Committed suicide. And there's all kinds of different stories that he couldn't handle the pressure, couldn't go on any longer, just was having existential crisis, which I can absolutely relate to, like 100% relate to. That's where a lot of my mental health issues fall into is kind of existential stuff, dealing with death and death of others and everything else. So I can 100% relate, but I bring this up because it's terrible. At 28 years old, we have lost another artist to suicide. 28 years old. And I say this every time we deal with a tragedy like this. is chances are you know someone in your life that is battling a mental health issue, some kind of mental illness. And this is something that we all just need to be aware of. In fact, it drives me even more nuts when we talked about how certain people on certain sides of the aisle were trying to diminish mass shootings at schools and saying, well, why don't you talk to that kid? You know, that's what walk up, not walk out. However, we have suicides like this constantly in our country and in our world. Nobody ever says anything about walk up to those people. They never say a damn thing about walk up to those people. They want you to walk up to the people that are going to benefit them politically. They don't care about the people killing themselves. But I ask you, wall fans and common sensors, explain to me the difference. I'll give you a little bit of a difference. These people should get help and be talked to. Because like I said, chances are you have someone in your life that is dealing with something. And you don't need to go up to your buddy and shake him. Are you okay? Are you okay? What's wrong? No. Just talk. Just talk. Let them know that they matter. Don't shake. You matter. No. Just talk. Be a friend. Be compassionate. And if they want to talk to you about something, be a listener. If they ask for help, give that help where you can, but don't force help on people. I can relate to this. I understand. I can't tell you how many people in my life have helped me without even knowing it. Just the littlest thing. A text message, a comment, a conversation, without even realizing that I was going through a tough time, because I hide it real well. I'm honest with all of you wall fans and common sensors, but I hide it real well when it comes to many other people out in the world. I can't tell you how many times that's happened. So I encourage all of you to just be aware of it. And again, don't walk around looking for which one of your friends, Just be aware that most likely, 99% chance, there is someone in your life that is dealing with something. Some kind of mental health issue. And this is where we need to band together and we need to walk up. This is the real walk up movement. These are the people that can still be helped. They're not looking to murder people. They just don't know how to deal with problems. Whatever it might be. Whatever those problems might be. Whatever those issues might be. And that's where the trouble lies. So talk to those people. And if you're out there listening to this podcast and you're one of those people and you don't have anyone to talk to, I've said it in the past before. Shoot me a message. Go to SeanO'RourkeLive.com and you can literally email me directly. We get emails on there. Most of the time it's someone complaining that I hate guns or hate the flag or whatever else. We don't get a lot of positive emails through there. But shoot me an email. And I'll connect you with people that can help you. Or if you just need to, I will talk with you. Because this is senseless. As much as violence and everything else is senseless, there's not much more senseless than suicide here. There really isn't. Not when it comes to this. 28-year-old kid. 28. It's crazy. So let's do better, wall fans and common sensors. Let's do better. We all can. We can do better. Absolutely. All right, let's get into some sports. I got a couple sporty things today. But I'm just kind of shoot through them here because it's not a lot of craziness. So, interesting news for Los Angeles. And I'll be interested to see if this catches on in some other big cities, especially cities that deal with traffic. We had something come out today. The mayor of Los Angeles, Mayor Garcetti, he has proposed a gondola transportation system that will go from Union Station here in Los Angeles all the way to Dodgers Stadium. Now, if you're not familiar with the Los Angeles area, the Union Station is dead, right in the middle of LA. It's right near, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the street. Help me out, Bridget. The street that's right across from Union Station, historical area, right there, great area. And the stadium's not real close. And so what a lot of people do is they do have buses that go from Union Station to the stadiums, people trying to avoid traffic, or, they're taking trains, because you can't take a train straight to Union Station like you can in some other cities. And so what they're proposing and hoping to get done in time for 2022, and this could also factor into Olympic events, but they're looking to get this gondola system in. And if you're not familiar with gondolas, these are they're like the ski, they used to have them at Disneyland, like the Sky Ride, but they're a little bigger. They're kind of like ski lifts, and it's just a wire that's going to take people from Union Station to Dodger Stadium and avoid a bunch of that traffic. which would be really nice for a lot of Dodger fans. I know many people that will be pretty excited about that one. Me personally, I probably still won't take it. I'm terrified of heights, and I don't need to be looking down like, oh, there's nope. I'll deal with the traffic. I also live like 10 minutes from. It's a little easier for me to commute there than many people in Los Angeles. But it'll be interesting to see if that happens. And then, like I said, the Olympics could factor into the Olympics as well, because we're getting the Olympics in 2024, 2028. I can't remember. I'm kind of dreading it. I'm like, told my wife, we're moving. We're just gonna Airbnb the whole house for the Olympics. Not moving, but we'll get out of here for a month, or even just stay in the area, rent out our massive house and like rent an apartment for a month or something. Make that money, All right. More sports news. NFL draft is happening tonight, and I bring this up because I'm a sports guy. I enjoy watching sports. I love baseball. I love hockey. I don't watch basketball, but I enjoy watching football on Sundays and sometimes on Saturdays if I'm watching a college game, whatever. But this NFL draft used to be 3 days. It was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They moved it to 4 days. It actually starts on a Thursday. It's going on right now. Right now, they're drafting players, giving them money. And they televise every second of this. Every second of the entire draft is televised when they do it. Now, it's not 24. They're not doing it 24 hours a day. So, like I'm saying, 3 days. It's not 3 days for 20 or 4 days for 24 hours. It starts in the Saturday. It starts in the afternoon. Thursday, Friday, I believe, it's all prime time. But nonetheless, it's coverage, wall-to-wall coverage. And it's weird to me. I didn't watch a draft 1 year when my cousin was in the draft. I half watched it. I was running around and kind of watching on my phone or whatever else. But it's weird to me, and I'd like to know, is there anyone out there that actually sits and watches the entirety of the draft? Because as much as I enjoy watching some sports, freaking boring. Like, don't you have anything better to do? You got nothing better to do? If you got nothing better to do, I would recommend getting some kind of hobby. Like, pick up knitting. Something. Like, something a little more productive. And you can still watch the little draft while you're doing your knitting, but just sitting watching the draft just seems so strange to me. I want to give a big shout out to the Boston Bruins. My Boston Bruins took down the Toronto Maple Leafs last night in Game 7. They're moving on in the playoffs. I will be watching them closely. Hopefully you will be hearing more about the Boston Bruins, as much as many of our fans are not hockey fans. You're going to be hearing more about them. Chris is going to appreciate that. Our stats and information person, Chris. He's a bit of a Bruins fan. And a little more Boston news that I want to bring up. It's in the sports section, but really it's just kind of an overall thing. It's kind of common sense. And they've been pushing for this for a couple years now. There's a road outside of Fenway Park in Boston. That's where the Boston Red Sox play. It's the oldest stadium in the country. I believe it's definitely the oldest. I always get confused because of Wrigley and Yankee. They got a new one. But it's the oldest stadium in the country, in Major League Baseball. Not in the country. It's the oldest baseball park in Major League Baseball. Should clarify that. And they had a road outside of it called Yawkey Way. And the Boston Red Sox had an owner in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. I'm blanking on his first name now, but his last name was Yawkey. And they had named the road after him. But it turns out years and years ago, and there's been an uproar about this for years, people pointed out that Yawkey was very racist. In fact, the Boston Red Sox, as much as I hate to bring that up, the Boston Red Sox were the last team in Major League Baseball to integrate. And this was while Yawkey was the owner. Before you start your Boston hate emails, the Boston Celtics were the first basketball team to start 5 African-American players, and the Boston Bruins literally were the first hockey team, professional hockey team, to have a African-American man on their team. So, the Red Sox, they had a racist owner at the time, didn't want to integrate, but don't, and as much as there's stories of racism and everything in Boston, don't go crazy on that one, just knowing that Yawkey was a bit of a racist. And just today, the city of Boston approved changing the street name, changing Yawkey Way to a different, they didn't announce what they're changing it to, but they are changing that Yawkey Way, which is nice to kind of move past that racism. People are like, but he was an owner of the Red Sox. Yeah, he was a raging racist. It's fine. I don't care if he owned I don't care that the Orange Menace is the President of the United States of America. He's a raging bigot. That doesn't mean we have to respect him. Spouting off like an asshole. But I'm happy to see it. No more Yawkey Way. No more of that junk. No more racism around the stadium. It'll be nice to see. Alright, moving on. I actually got a little style. Oh my gosh, I got a little style in this week. We rarely have style on here. Rarely. I think we maybe done it like 2 times out of like 60 episodes. But I put this one in there really just for me. This one really, really is just for me. But if you're a Vans fan, Vans shoes fan, you're going to appreciate this one. Vans got together, again, the footwear brand Vans, got together with Look Studio. They're a Brooklyn-based creative agency, and they put out a new collection of Vans shoes in collaboration, again, with Look Studio. And they have kind of like a vintage throwback look, all suede, throwback look, jeez. I throw out puns just without even knowing. These Look shoes have a throwback look. Jesus. But they're awesome shoes, and if you're a Vans fan, I would highly recommend checking them out. They're not that easy to find. I think there's only one website that has them, and I think they also have a store in, probably in the Brooklyn area, of course. This is me just embracing my inner hipster. Vans was around long before hipsters. Skateboarding shoe, surfers, come on. I kid. But these are out there. They are a little pricier. But I'm hoping to get my hands on some. And if you're a Vans fan, you might want to look into getting your hands on some. I just have to convince my wife that it's okay for me to spend $100 on a pair of Vans. We'll see how that goes. I'll update you next episode as to how my wife tells me no. I don't spend that much money on shoes. It's very rare that I spend like $100. I'm like $45 on shoes, like Vans, Authentics, out the door for like $42. And not even less than $50 for some nice Authentics. But I might need myself some of these nice Look Studio Vans crossover, awesome, unique shoes. We'll see how that goes. Let's move on to some tech. Wall fans. First thing we have in tech, oh man. Amazon, and speaking of which, Amazon is raising their Prime membership prices. I think that's official now. But Amazon, always trying to innovate on stuff. And they have a new service now, and it's in collaboration with GM and Volvo. And it's going to be available in 37 cities. This isn't available worldwide or countrywide just yet. Countrywide, I feel like that's like a lemonade brand or something. Countrywide. I think it's still the right term. So it's not going to be available everywhere. 37 cities. And probably if you have a GM or a Volvo. What they're doing is they're going to have a new service where they can deliver packages to the trunk of your car. I don't know. I guess. I don't know. Cause like I was thinking, I was like, oh, so like if you're at your office during the day and it's like, but can't you just have it delivered to your office? But the thing that got me most is, I don't know about any of you out there, but I've had problems with Amazon deliveries and with post office deliveries and everything else. They can't even get the package delivery like to my front door, like or near my front door, or even to the right house or anything. Why the fuck would I let them get into my car? Like, this is out in the open. You can't get the package to my front door. I'll go. Yeah, go. Have access to my car. Whatever car you park next to, you're going to have, like, your 5 packages in that car. I just don't get it. I understand Amazon trying to innovate. But, like, this is just weird to me. It was like the open the door thing. We can put your packages right inside your door. So some strange dude. And I've seen Amazon, and looks don't mean everything. But I've seen many of the Amazon delivery people, like, I don't think I've ever seen the same delivery person twice. Same Amazon delivery person. You know? And, like, so it's not like you have these highly vetted, trustworthy people. I don't care, you know, I got cameras in my house, but still, like, I'm not letting some random dude in my house. I ain't letting some random dude into my trunk. Just not happening. But if you're into that and you live in one of those 37 cities and have a GM or a Volvo, you can probably do that and watch your car drive off from your office window. Bye, car. Hope my package got delivered in the trunk. Ridiculous. A little more tech news. This one could have been in social, but I put it in tech because it's not weird, but there's multiple sides to this story. And some of you have probably seen this. And this is emoji news. We always have this emoji news. God, we but we broke down the cheeseburger problem that Google had to fix months ago. And now we have not another problem, but this has been happening for a while. And in fact, some other platforms have done this, but Google So Android officially replaced the gun emoji with a water pistol. And I guess other platforms have done this. Apple did it quite a while ago. And I think maybe Instagram or one of the other platforms has also already shifted their regular looking gun. And if you're familiar with the original Google Android emoji, it's a revolver. Revolver. And so much gun talking that I do. Take me a minute. It's a revolver, and they're switching to like what looks like a Super Soaker water pistol. And of course, this came out. A lot of people are like, "Well, this is political," and I could see that to some extent. Because honestly, why do we need to have a real gun emoji, especially when kids are running around doing emojis and all this other stuff? And like, okay, and maybe I'm being a little oversensitive. Like, this isn't something I would rail against. Like, those gun emojis need to be changed. But I do see why they kind of should be changed from not a political standpoint, but just a common sense standpoint, you know? And of course people are like, it's so political and blah, blah, blah. There's an interesting piece to this that I didn't actually understand until today, because this was just announced today. Or no, now it's a couple of, whenever I found this, maybe yesterday. So what's happening is because different platforms have different emojis and the coding reads those emojis, and so like let's say I'm on an Android phone, which I always am, never on an iPhone, and I send an emoji to my friend who has an iPhone. If I send my friend the gun emoji, like let's say Android has already switched the gun emoji to a water pistol, and I think I'm sending my friend a water pistol. However, with the way the coding is, if he's on an iPhone or another type of phone that hasn't changed that emoji to a water pistol, he or she could actually end up seeing the original gun emoji, like whatever that platform uses for their gun emoji. So on top of what I think is just kind of smart, you know, we don't need to have, like, who needs gun emojis? If you really, that's fine, go create your own. Head on over to Pornhub. That's where all the NRA freaks are putting their gun videos, since YouTube's removing them. So maybe you can have gun emojis on Pornhub. I don't know. But it makes sense, because that's the thing, is if you think you're sending, and I get it, like, it's not always the same, like, you send a winky face, and they're getting a slightly different winky face, but there's a big difference between a water pistol and a real pistol, you know? So that makes absolute sense to me. We can put aside the political stuff, even, and just know that from a technical standpoint, it freaking makes sense. It makes sense. Alright, I got one more piece of tech news. A patent was just uncovered. Microsoft has a new patent that's out, and it features hinge gestures, and I quote that, hinge gestures. And this is furthering kind of the move that a lot of telecom companies and tech companies are making toward folding phones and folding computers. Now, not folding laptop, folding screens, like the entire screen folding on a computer. We've talked about this where there's a few companies that are developing folding phones. And Microsoft has patented these certain kind of gestures for for the curved display, which is essentially the folding display. And it's kind of how the folding display will deal with, because it makes sense even to, like, I'm not super techie. Like, you can't get into coding with me and all this other kind of stuff. But I can see that if something folds, it's going to really mess with, depending the angle you're at, you know, you could get a weird picture. So this is them dealing with it. And I bring it up because we're going to see more and more of this. And I feel like we're maybe, at most, we're 2 years away from a true folding, like, phone. That's going to be like a, you know, 6-inch, 5-inch, whatever the phones are, and then fold out into, like, 10 inches or whatever it might be. I think we're less than 2 years away from that. I'd be surprised if we don't see it within the next 2 years. I really would be. So it's interesting. Microsoft really moving forward in that realm as well. Alright, I got some news. Common sense. Let's move it along to some common sense. Let me get some more of this Green Flash Remix IPA first. I gotta prepare myself for this one, because we're gonna rant a little bit for a second. Then we're gonna get real personal for a second here. Just real personal. Like, ridiculous personal. My own personal life. But before we get to that, I want to talk about a little website called Teespring. Teespring. We talked about this website about a year ago. They were providing t-shirts for Walmart. And they actually had a, God, I can't remember what it said. It was like Noose, Reporter, something else. And it was essentially like promoting the lynching of media members and reporters and everything, journalists and everything. I might have said journalists. It was some word referring to that, but essentially supporting the lynching of journalists and media in our country. And it was being sold on Walmart.com through Teespring. Well, of course, at that time, Walmart removed it. Huge backlash, because duh. Duh. On so many levels on that one. Well, now Teespring is running into a little more trouble again. And Teespring, if you're not familiar with them, they are backed by a Silicon Valley venture capitalist firm, venture capital company, firm, basically paying a lot of money, a couple $1 million to Teespring. But apparently Teespring, if you go on their website right now, you can do this right now. I didn't actually go on the site. I'm just reading this through Newsweek.com when I found it the other day. They actually have some T-shirts that promote Dylann Roof in a positive way. Dylann Roof. And in fact, one of the shirts it says "Keep Calm" and "Roof On," referring to Dylann Roof, and it has his stupid bull haircut. Now, if you're not familiar with Dylann Roof, he is the gentleman who walked into the church in South Carolina back in 2015, I believe it was, and murdered a bunch of people that were there for a prayer service. And then, obviously, he's taken into custody. I believe he's still on trial. So you know how those things go. And apparently, people on the far right, or the alt-right, whatever the hell the Nazis call them, the Nazis all love Dylann Roof because he murdered a bunch of African Americans in church. Yeah, big man there, Dylann. Big man you are. And Teespring is selling these T-shirts promoting Dylann Roof in a positive way. A murderer, a mass murderer, they're promoting him in a positive way. Almost daily, I'm still amazed at stuff that is out there. And people actually wear these fucking things. There's people out there buying these and wearing them. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, Teespring, do better. And I think it's about time for a complete boycott of Teespring. I don't know if any of you common sensors, wall fans out there, use Teespring. I never will now, but I think it's time to officially boycott them. This is not a good company. I don't care if they have Silicon Valley backing. I don't care if they're just trying to make money. There's no excuse for this. There's no excuse for painting a murderer in a positive light. Keep calm and roof on. I'm going to tell you, Teespring, keep calm and learn what the hell you're doing. Do better. Because everyone's better than this. Of course I say that, but I still see stuff in my social feeds. I saw someone the other day, and they were like, oh, so do we, something about the military using guns. Do we chastise the military for winning all those wars with guns? No, mofo. No. Nobody's saying the military shouldn't have guns. We're saying that 16-year-old dude down the street doesn't need an AR-15. Big difference, my friend. But there are still people in this world that think like that. They're just blatantly assholes. And you're never going to change them. They're always going to be assholes. They're probably born an asshole, living as an asshole, and they're going to die an asshole. Simple as that. You're never going to change their minds. And really, probably people that are wearing these Dylann Roof things, you're probably not going to change their minds either. As they sit on their porch in their cut-off tees and polish their gun while they chew tobacco. God, that was terrible to say, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's just, I envision that's the only people wearing these stupid shirts. That's all I can envision. Alright, I want to get serious here for a minute. Serious, but also funny, but just, I want to get a little personal. Because there's actually an article on CNN, and this came up, really, this is a week or two ago. It's been a week or two. This came out, and I'm going to post it to the Facebook page and post it on the Twitter. This one really kind of hit home for me. And I'm just going to give you the title of the article, and then we'll kind of unpack this a little bit. And the title of the article was "Why Girls Can Be Boyish, but Boys Can't Be Girlish." Really hit me. Not like hit me in the soft spot, but I was just like, oh my god, that makes sense. And here I am, the father of a daughter, and I have friends with sons and everything else, and I'm not going to get into all the nuances of the article, but really, if you think about that and you look out in the world today, it is pretty true. And we've done such a good job of, people with compassion and open minds and people that use common sense, we've done a great job of letting kids express themselves, and especially when it comes to the LGBTQ community and everything else, there's many of us that are out there supporting it despite the fact that we're not part of that community, like not actually in that community. However, if you really think about it, it is interesting, and it still happens today, where it's okay for a girl to be a tomboy, to play sports, and do all these other things. And I'm talking young kids. When they get to be teenagers and stuff, they tend to be a little more open-minded, and that's where boys can then go and be in drama and everything else. But for younger boys, it's a little tougher than that. It's not that black and white. In fact, the author of this article was talking about her 5-year-old son, who asked for a My Little Pony sweatshirt, and of course she got it for him for his birthday. But knowing that he was going to be going into elementary school, it brought up this stuff, like, he could get made fun of. And that's the other thing. That's really where it comes down to, is we still think about a young boy being made fun of for going to school in a My Little Pony sweatshirt. But we don't really think of a girl, because it most likely isn't happening, a girl getting made fun of because she went to school in a Los Angeles Lakers sweatshirt. Or like a monster truck rally sweatshirt. And stop before you guys are like, no, girls can like those things. Yeah, boys can like those things too. That's my point. We're much more accepting, society as a whole, we're much more accepting of a young girl who likes boy things. We call it, that's the thing, tomboy, that's the main thing here. Tomboy isn't really an insult to a girl. So she's a tomboy, and you're just like, oh yeah, she's a tomboy. But do you hear people say, it's a girly boy? A Jane boy? I don't know what, like, Jane boy? Like, no. It would be offensive. And you'd probably see parents be like, no, he's not girly. But I ask you, what's the difference? What is the difference? I say let your kids be kids. Let them explore. If your kid likes whatever, that's fine. Your son wants to play with Barbies or My Little Pony, that's fine. Even if they want to wear girls' clothes, who cares? And this is where we're going to get personal. Because even if you are worried, which you shouldn't be, you shouldn't be worried that, well, my son's going to grow up and want to dress like a woman. Who cares? Let him dress like a woman. But at the same time, just because your son wants to wear a My Little Pony sweatshirt at 5 years old doesn't mean he's going to want to wear a My Little Pony sweatshirt at 45 years old. It simply doesn't. Not that you should be worried about it, but it simply doesn't. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I was fortunate enough to have a mother who didn't care about that stuff. She wasn't worried about me playing with boy toys. In fact, one of my very first toys that I ever got, not very first, one of my first toys that I remember that was like my toy, and I took it everywhere, was a Cabbage Patch Kid. I tell people that these days, when I was like 4, I got a Cabbage Patch Kid. And I loved it. In fact, I lost my first Cabbage Patch Kid, and it was a complete tragedy, and we had to take time and go out and find another Cabbage Patch Kid to replace it that I liked just as much as that other Cabbage Patch Kid. Well, you're like, oh, you're 4, that's nothing. Oh, yeah. Speaking of My Little Pony, when I was 4 or 5 years old, I really wanted a My Little Pony. Really wanted one. In fact, I was staying over at some family friend's house. Like, I think my mom was working or whatever, and they're playing. And actually, not knowing any better, stole a My Little Pony from these family friend's house. And, I got home, my mom was like, what is this? And I was like, oh, I don't know, I wanted it. And this was my first, foray into, no, you can't just take things. Didn't know any better. So we returned the My Little Pony, and my mom took me out, and I got a My Little Pony. I wanted a My Little Pony. I didn't care. This is a girl, who cares? I think it's cool. I liked it as a kid. And in fact, on top of that, one of my favorite things as a kid was stuffed animals. I loved stuffed animals. Just tons of them. I had bunk beds when I lived when I was very, very young and we lived in Miami. I had bunk beds, and my top bunk, I slept on the bottom bunk. My top bunk was full of stuffed animals. And I just loved them. In fact, I had a 2-foot-tall gorilla that I still have in my garage that a co-worker of my mother's had given to me. Carried that thing everywhere. And of course, kids can be cruel. Kids can absolutely be cruel. I'll tell you, there was a time when I was in 5th grade. 5th grade, St. Michael's School in Poway, California. And I've talked about this. Same school that I talked about the sneaker story. Oh boy. Go back in the archives for that one. We're having a magazine drive. We sell the magazine subscriptions, and I had sold just tons. Every year I sold tons of magazine subscriptions. And it was like prize tiers. I can't remember exactly, but you sell this much and you pick a prize out of these prizes, and you sell this much and you get the next prize out of these prizes, and you pick. And here's 5th grade Sean O'Rourke. Wasn't even Sean O'Rourke then. There's a story for another time. Here's 5th grade Sean. And I go out, and they actually have all the prizes, not in front of the entire school, somewhat the entire school, because my elementary school was very small. It was kindergarten through 8th grade, 30 kids a class. Now it's double that size, but about 30 kids a class. So I go up to pick my prize, and I pick this stuffed animal dog. It was a dog. It was like a basset hound type looking dog. That was the other thing. Pound puppies. I loved those when I was younger. Pound puppies. Loved stuffed animal. And I picked this. Here's 10-year-old Sean, 5th grade. 10, maybe 11, whatever it is. 11 maybe. Because I liked it. Well, I started getting grief from everyone else at that school. Not everyone, but a bunch of people at that school. Boys, girls, 8th graders, 5th graders, 4th graders, 6th graders, all of them giving me a hard time. And I just went back, and it was like lunchtime. I went back, sat quietly, had my stuffed dog, and I was like, you know what? And I felt bad. I felt embarrassed. And I got to give a shout out, because we all need to be much more like this person. Shout out to John Tedesco, who was an 8th grader at that time. John Tedesco walked over to me. I haven't spoken to this guy in years, since I was a young kid. He's an 8th grader coming over to 5th grader and starts talking to me and says, "Okay, can I see it? Can I see your dog?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I knew John. I knew his mother. They were family friends. But he comes over, entire school's making fun of me. He says, "Oh, this is awesome. What's his name?" And I'm embarrassed. I'm like, "I don't know." And he's like, "Oh, you got to give him a name." I was like, "Okay." And he talked to me for a few minutes. He's like, "Okay, I'm going to go." And just made me feel so much better as a kid. And we need more people like John Tedesco doing what he did right there. Here's an 8th grader, not worrying about being embarrassed, coming up to a 5th grader, and helping him out in time and need. So I'm going to tell you out there, if you're worried about your son being into girly things, stop worrying, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in the least. It just doesn't. And in fact, the capper on that, you know what other toy I had as a kid? Here's 5-year-old Sean. Rainbow Brite. I had a Rainbow Brite doll as a kid. No shame. I had a Rainbow Brite doll as a kid. I loved it. I was in action figures. That's the funny thing, too, is I was in action figures at the same time, but I enjoyed Rainbow Brite. I had a Rainbow Brite doll. I'm pretty sure I used it as I was playing with my Thundercats figures. Kind of all at the same time. So don't worry about it. Let your kids do what they want to do. Especially, 5 years old, they don't have a sexuality yet. They don't like girls or boys. Not that you should be worried about that, but if that's your, no. Just let them wear what they want. Let them wear what they want. And if you're someone out there that's dealing with it, send me a message on SeanO'RourkeLive.com. I'll put you in your place or give you some support. Maybe try and track down John Tedesco, who saved the day when I was in 5th grade. I had totally forgotten about that one until this article came up. And I was like, oh my god, I loved stuffed animals when I was a kid. And got such a hard time for it. I did, and that was just one of the few hard times. Or I'd be out with friends or whatever, and we're buying a souvenir at a place, and here's 7, 8-year-old Sean. Well, I want the stuffed animal. Well, why do you want stuffed animal? That's for girls. I absolutely heard that term as a kid. That's for girls. Well, you know what? Nothing's for girls or boys. I mean, condoms are for boys. That's about it. Tampons are for girls. Definitely just for girls. Guys, don't be doing that vodka thing. We'll talk about that another time. It's not good for you. It's not good for you. It's just not. But I'm going to leave you with that. Actually, I want to get into one more. You know what? I'm going to save this, because this needs to be an entire segment, but I'm going to tease it. We're going to talk about John Boehner, and we're going to talk about all these rich white assholes that spent the majority of their careers talking bad about marijuana and keep making it illegal and a class 1 drug, and now that everything's shifted and they realize they can make money, they're okay with it. We're going to talk about that. Rich white jerks. We're gonna pound you down and put you in jail. Oh no, we can make money off it? Oh. It's called the pharmaceutical industry, Wall fans. Oh man. Alright. As always, thanks for joining, and we did get a little personal today, which I do enjoy most of the time, but just keep in mind that's just, you're all getting a little bit of a glimpse into like that story about the stuffed dog. I haven't even thought about that since like 5th grade. Nobody really even knows that one. They don't. I mean, I've probably told people I had a My Little Pony and stuff like that. Let your kids be kids. Just let them be kids. Let them do what they want. I mean, within a safe reason. Don't let them jump off the roof, But they want to play with whatever. Play with the toys. As long as it's not dangerous, play with it. Have fun. Knock yourself out. Oh, Wall fans! I thought we were gonna be short tonight. That never freaking happens. It just doesn't. But we are done for this evening, for this week, for episode 54. As always, this has been Go Tell It to the Wall podcast. I am your host, the one and only Sean O'Rourke, and thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing with your friends. Thank you to Bridget for doing all the great things that she does to help promote this podcast. Thank you to John Tedesco for saving me when I was in 5th grade. And most importantly, thank you to all of our patrons who support the show financially as well as listening and all those other good things. So, we'll be back next week with episode 55. Episode 55, same wall time, same wall place. And remember, wall fans, common sensors, social media world, podcast consumers, no matter what you do, no matter where you go, no matter why you're doing it, and no matter who you're with, always use common sense. All right, thanks for joining in. We had some people kind of coming in and out. Thanks, Bridget. I know you're on there helping out. Oh, gosh, my neck is killing. This is part of that getting old thing. I'm like, that's part of the getting old thing. I literally have to stretch before I come in to do an episode. I go out and I literally stretch. And you wouldn't think, like, I'm sitting here like this. No. That's old, is you get sore sitting in a chair talking to a microphone. Look forward to it, younger wall fans. Oh, 30 and 35 creeps up on you real quick. It does. But thanks for joining. We'll be back next week. I'm going to go get some dinner. I'm freaking exhausted. I got to take these off. It's kind of warm in the studio. Turn on the air conditioning. But remember, wall fans, no matter what you do, no matter where you go, no matter why you're doing, no matter who you're with, always use common sense and never forget the Bridget Freeze.